In video 2, I shared the political challenges that undermine Japanese confidence in the civilian government. In this video, you will learn about the economic and social challenges that plagued the civilian government and ultimately led to the unpopularity of the civilian government. In the 1920s, Japan faced severe inflation, which made goods very expensive. For example, the price of rice increased by 174%. Due to a decline in overseas demand for Japanese goods, large companies also laid off thousands of workers. This led to high unemployment rates. To make things worse, Japan was hit by the Great Kanto earthquake in 1923, which devastated much of Tokyo and worsened the hardship of the people. This resulted in growing resentment among the Japanese towards the civilian government for the economic hardship they suffered. Similarly, in the 1920s, there was hardship in the countryside. While industrial modernization led to a rise in living standards, those who lived in the countryside did not benefit equally compared to those living in towns. In the 20th century, there was a population boom, and Japan's population grew rapidly from 45 million in 1900 to 64 million by 1930. This affected availability of land for farming. Farmers did not have enough land to grow their crops and earn a decent profit to support themselves. Majority of them were tenant farmers, where much of their harvest went towards paying the landlord for rent, leaving them barely enough to eat. Japanese farmers also practiced traditional methods of farming which were labor-intensive and slow. This resulted in a shortage of rice, which led to much discontent among the people, and as a result, they lost faith in the government. In 1927, there was a banking crisis. In the 1920s, there were many small banks in Japan. These banks loaned large amounts of money to borrowers from the same few industries. This made the banks very vulnerable because if the industries did not do well, the banks would find it very difficult to collect their loans. In 1927, there were rumors which led to widespread panic, as there were rumors that the banks did not have enough money due to bad debts. People frantically withdrew their savings, leading to the collapse of more than 20 banks. Many people lost their life savings as a result, leading to widespread suffering. The government tried to introduce new policies to modernize and stabilize the banks. For example, the government merged unsound banks into about 24 main banks. The main banks were established by zaibatsus. In the process, by 1929, most of the banks were stable and making profits again. However, while the civilian government seemed to have resolved the banking crisis, the people perceived that the government only cared about the elites, the banks and the zaibatsus, and failed to look after the welfare of the common people who have lost their savings. This led to growing distrust and resentment towards the civilian government. In the eyes of the Japanese, the civilian government did not help the people in the 1920s. In the 1930s, their discontent towards the civilian government grew even more. The Wall Street crash in the US and the resulting Great Depression hurt Japan greatly as well. Demand for Japanese exports such as silk fell sharply, and Japan's economy shrank significantly. Now, notice, it was the ordinary people who suffered the most. First, farmers were badly affected. Farmers' income dropped significantly by as much as 43%. Many tenant farmers, which is farmers who rented farmland from landowners to work on, could not even afford rent. Some landlords even tried to evict farmers who could not pay. As a result, protests broke out and some disputes became violent. You see, protests, violence, breakdown of law and order, and worsening poverty. Many blamed the government for failing to manage the crisis. Now, it was not only the farmers who suffered. Small business owners such as shopkeepers, restaurant owners, and small factory owners also struggled badly. Many felt that many businesses closed during the Depression. These owners also joined protest movements. Many felt that the government only cared about the wealthy landlords, banks, and the Zaibatsus. This caused resentment towards the government to grow even stronger. Besides political and economic problems, there were also growing social tensions in Japan. One major issue was the widening gap between the rich and the poor. The government supported wealthy zaibatsus because it wanted to strengthen Japan's economy and industries. As a result, wealth became concentrated among big businesses and wealthy elites. But many ordinary workers and farmers remain poor. Now imagine how unfair this must have felt. Farmers struggled with poverty and difficult living conditions, while wealthy landowners and business elites continued living comfortably. This growing unhappiness eventually exploded into protests, such as the rice riots in 1918. Rice was the staple food of Japan, but rising rice prices made it increasingly unaffordable for ordinary people. Many Japanese became angry because while they were struggling to afford basic food, the government seemed more concerned about supporting military activities and protecting wealthy interests. Because the government was seen closely linked to the Zaibatsu, many ordinary Japanese increasingly believed that politicians were serving themselves and wealthy elites rather than the people. As a result, many lost confidence and trust in the civilian government. Modernization also created social and cultural tensions within Japan. Not everybody welcomed Western influence and rapid social changes. One major change involved women. As Japan modernized, more women began working in the cities and earning their wages. Some women also became more active socially and politically and started seeking greater independence. Now, today, this may seem normal to us, but to many traditionalists at that time, this was deeply worrying. They believed that women should focus mainly on family responsibilities and traditional roles within society. So, when women became more independent, traditionalists saw this as a threat to Japanese cultures and values. As a result, they blamed the civilian government for encouraging westernization and modernization at the expense of Japanese traditions. This further weakened the trust in the civilian government. So, overall, the civilian government in Japan became increasingly unpopular because many people saw it as weak, divided, and unable to solve Japan's problems. Structural weaknesses made politicians look ineffective. Economic crises caused suffering and resentment. Social changes made some Japanese fear that their traditional identity was disappearing. By the 1930s, many ordinary Japanese had started to lose faith in the civilian politicians and democracy itself. This created the perfect opportunity for the military to gain more influence in Japan. In the next video, we will examine how the military rose to power. and why militarism became increasingly attractive to many Japanese people.